there was a video that was released by Crobat. He compares Left 4 Dead 1/2 to Back 4 Blood. There were some things that I thought Back 4 Blood did better. Most of the things shown in this video are things that Left 4 Dead 1/2 does better than Back 4 Blood. But yeah, let's just take a look at this. Here's how the zombies stumble after getting killed. This is something that, even though it looks very cinematic, is something that I hate, because when they stumble like that, you're not always sure that they die. So, like, sure, it looks cool, but like from a casual perspective, from a more like competitive one, this one is a bit annoying. Like, I appreciate the work that went into this, but at times it's really annoying. Here, oh my god, okay, so yeah, sometimes when the enemies get shot in Back 4 Blood, they will get flung in a direction that doesn't make any sense, which they could definitely improve on. But for the most part, like, when that doesn't happen in Back 4 Blood, it looks fine. Like, so that, as long as the enemy doesn't get flung to a direction that doesn't make sense from when the enemy is shot, when that doesn't happen, Back 4 Blood does, in my opinion, do better on that aspect. Now, keep in mind though, Back 4 Blood isn't really a game that I like. I like Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 much more than Back 4 Blood, just because of the fact that, well, first of all, the fucking price tag of Back 4 Blood. And on top of that, it has like cosmetics that is behind a paywall, which I don't like. In Left 4 Dead 2, you get like add-ons for Workshop, which you don't have to pay for. Though Valve did attempt to make paid mods a thing, but thank God that didn't happen. So that's why I like Left 4 Dead 2 much better than Back 4 Blood. When it comes to the bashing between the two, I think that Back 4 Blood looks better, because it doesn't really rely on pushing with a gun instead of a fist, and also it draws blood when you punch the enemy on Back 4 Blood. So I think in that aspect, and also I think there's a small screen shake. Oh, I guess it's a screen shake is from like throwing a punch maybe, but either way, like, seeing that does help to make it look more punchy compared to like the no screen shake on Left 4 Dead 1/2. Here's the different type of common infected, which is a nice level of detail. Not to be confused with the special infected, but they're like kind of close to that. They're like a kind of a mutation of a common infected. Think of it like that way. Here you have something similar. This is just like the rider in Left 4 Dead 2. This is the worst part. This is how it looks like when they burn Back 4 Blood, which looks really bad. But here in Left 4 Dead 1/2, like, the burning looks like someone is burning while running. Like, this is good. This is really good. So that's the biggest W that Left 4 Dead has over Back 4 Blood. Okay, those two deagle kills there didn't look bad. Yeah, there's the stumble thing I was talking about. Personally, I don't like that so much. They just stumble when they're supposed to be dead, and you can't really tell if they're about to die or not. I've seen people have like fading corpse add-ons for Left 4 Dead 2, but I've been unable to find it. So I don't know how people do it. Maybe it's just outside of Workshop or something, the Steam Workshop. Personally, I think the gores on both of those two games look good. When it comes to monetization, Back 4 Blood also has pay to progress, which is a lesser evil of pay to win. Here we see some of the ragdoll physics for the water. Oh yeah, this is also a really bad thing. You can't shoot through wood planks. When it comes to destroying things, you can't really do that. You can see a few debris fall off the TV when he shoots at the TV screen, but yeah, you can't see the bullet holes in the TV for some reason. Also, shooting the objects on Back 4 Blood doesn't really move it for some reason. Here in Left 4 Dead, we can see that there's a lot of destructibles. Also, special in fact, it can destroy certain walls, certain specific walls. Obviously, destructibles is something that can be expensive for the performance, but I don't see how they could not just work on that a little bit. Here's someone shooting in Back 4 Blood, and then here's someone shooting in Left 4 Dead 1, firing. Like it didn't display light for some reason. That's a big W for Left 4 Dead. The flashlight on Back 4 Blood looks better, like more realistic. Though flashlight on Left 4 Dead doesn't look bad. Like it looks pretty good as well. So visually, it's a W for Back 4 Blood, but the AI reacts to the flashlight being turned on, including the witch, not just common infected, but also the witch, and it can startle the witch, which is something you don't really see on Back 4 Blood. Like the enemies doesn't really react to the flashlight. So visually, it's a W for Back 4 Blood when it comes to how realistic the flashlight looks. But when it comes to how the flashlight interacts, it's a W for Left 4 Dead. Okay, this animation does not look good. He walks backwards with the survivor, but the animation looks like it's walking forward. It's a similar mistake Valve have done, not in Left 4 Dead, but with the torso zombies in Half-Life 2. Okay, so here they're talking about sound, like the sounds for when the special infected spawned and how unique they are, because it's a different sound depending on what special infected spawns. While in Back 4 Blood, they don't really have a unique sound. It's the same sound for every special infected. Oh yeah, the witch also counts as a special infected, even though you can't really place the witch in Left 4 Dead Versus. Which is unfortunate because I always wanted to place the witch in Versus mode. Okay, yeah, that looks bad. Left 4 Dead 2 kind of had something like that when you're on the ground shooting, and you look behind you, and you shoot. The bullet basically bends 180 like that, just like you saw in Back 4 Blood. But in Left 4 Dead 1, it actually looked like you looked behind you when you were down. I'm kind of disappointed that the video didn't show that, because Left 4 Dead 2 does that same mistake as Back 4 Blood, but Left 4 Dead 1 doesn't do that, because it's like they basically scrapped that animation in Left 4 Dead 2, so that's why. Here's them talking about Versus mode. So apparently they're gonna have or maybe they already have the Versus mode in Back 4 Blood, which is also inspired by, well, so in some ways inspired by the Left 4 Dead Versus mode, but it's not the completely same thing. There's basically, I think it was one or a few maps specifically for that mode to be like more arena like, which is actually something that I think is better in Back 4 Blood than the Left 4 Dead Versus, just simply because it's designed better for like a versus type of for like a versus game mode. So like in terms of the map, I think like for in terms of the map for like a versus mode, I think Back 4 Blood did it better. But because there's so few maps for that versus mode, it's gonna damage Back 4 Blood's replayability for versus mode. It's a chocolate helicopter right there. Because memes. Here's the Team Workshop. This is so much better than having to rely on cosmetics. You know, the cosmetics that you have to fucking purchase with real life money on Back 4 Blood. Also, the devs mentioned that there wasn't gonna be any sort of Steam Workshop items, from what I've heard, at least. Which I think they addressed that here in this interview. That is so unfortunate. Like this game, like a lot of people who don't typically get into like zombie games, a lot of them still got into Left 4 Dead because of the Steam Workshop. Even people that even a friend of mine that really hated Left 4 Dead, not Left 4 Dead, a friend of mine that really hated the Source engine specifically because he didn't like how the Source engine looked. Even he made an exception. Even he made an exception for this game just because of the Steam Workshop add-ons. I'm pretty sure without the Steam Workshop, the player base for Left 4 Dead 1 and 2, well, I should stick to Left 4 Dead 2. I don't know how the first game's Steam chart is, but the Left 4 Dead 2 Steam chart, it's been going so strong because of the Steam Workshop, and yeah, it just it's just infinite content. Like you don't need updates. You don't need constant updates like games like TF2 to keep the player base still attached to the game for a long time. Because if you have workshop, you don't really need that. And on top of that, it's not like locked content that is behind a paywall either, like in TF2, with the cosmetic shits there. So yeah, that's really something I really admire about Left 4 Dead. Something that I really respect about it. I'm not a big fan when it comes to like RNG affecting gameplay, but and like Left 4 Dead 1 and 2 has a lot of it, but I at least respect that they didn't go for the greedy business tactics that a lot of developers do, including the developers for Back 4 Blood, because they plan on adding pay to progress or might have already done it. They have cosmetic items that are behind a paywall. So yeah, remember these days when games used to have cosmetics that you could get through in-game points with that type of microtransaction? Well, that's a thing in the past now. And Back 4 Blood, when it comes to things you have to pay through paywall, well, that's something that applies to that game too, unfortunately. Right here, you can see that the reviews are mixed, and for good reason, because it says it right here in the bio that it makes it very clear that it's inspired by Left 4 Dead as a franchise. And when you make that comparison, you're gonna raise up people's expectations of the game. Here's a quick fix they could have done to decrease that expectation, and it's pretty funny. The Thrill Incorporated first-person shooter from the creators of Evolve. Yeah, and Evolve, that game didn't go so well either. It had like a similar type of co-op with like humans versus monster, but yeah, there were things they did which was pretty greedy there, because if I remember, you had to purchase certain bosses, because there were multiple bosses you could choose from, but a lot of them were behind a paywall or something like that. Currently, Back 4 Blood is just not worth it. They need to cut down on the price, because that is pretty expensive. I'm not sure how much it costs now. Ridiculous price tag to put on it, and they did that on purpose because they plan on like reducing it later on. Once they reduce the price, they're probably gonna implement those other tactics of monetization. So yeah, even then, I don't have much hope, unless if they retract that statement that they're gonna make more monetization methods. Possibly, I don't see this game ever succeeding. Oh, I mean, maybe not succeeding, but I don't see it being good. Maybe it will be succeeding because we've seen greedy developers get away with shit like this in the past. When it comes to the actual quality of the game, that's gonna suffer. Oh, absolutely. Like this is gonna take a nasty hit. That's all I wanted to talk about when it comes to these two games. Back 4 Blood and Left 4 Dead. These are my thoughts. If you want to share your own, you could do that in the comment section. And yeah, until then, see you guys in the next live stream or video. See ya.